And so with angels and archangels, with thrones and dominions, and with all the hosts and powers of heaven, we sing the hymn of your glory, as without end we acclaim. Holy, holy, holy Lord, God of hosts. I think the spirituality of the priest is multifaceted. But I think it is encapsulated most succinctly in what people call us, and that is Father. Most loving Father, hear the prayers of your people, guide the world in true peace, and let us serve you in faith. The priest, as the head of the community, is called to be that spiritual father, to be the one who in some ways leads the community, but is also completely subservient to it. Hey, Hortensia, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Can't complain. The parish is not the four walls of the church. It's the number of people inside of it. A parish is a gathering of people, not of buildings. And so the priest is called to lead that community, to stand between the community and God, and to be that interconnector between the two. And I think that's very succinctly found in the title that they've given to us. We, your servants and your holy people, offer to your glorious majesty from the gifts that you have given us, this pure victim, this holy victim, this spotless victim. My name is Father Rodney White. I'm currently assigned to St. Stephen's Catholic Church here in Midland, and I've been a priest for the last 17 years. So I grew up in St. Mary's Parish in Odessa. My youngest memories were that I had the same pastor for much all of my formative years. From the point of my first communion on, we had Monsignor Bob Bush as our pastor, and I was very involved in church. Over time, as I got older, of course, there were different draws on my life, but that parish there at St. Mary's was very influential. Even as I went into making my confirmation, I chose a wonderful woman named Rose Mendez to be my confirmation sponsor. And ransom captive. Growing up in the parish, Father Bob, or Monsignor Bob Bush, was the vocation director. So we heard about vocations a lot. So much so, in fact, that when we got our associate, Father Barry McLean of happy memory, he would ask me, have you ever thought about being a priest? And I would joke about it and say, yeah, I talked with Jesus, and he said no. And a lot of that was because I held Father Bob, or Monsignor Bob Bush, in such high esteem. He was an image of godliness and holiness for me, and I knew that I didn't stack up anywhere near that. Even my confirmation sponsor, Rose Mendez, that I mentioned earlier, at one point she asked me, Mijo, have you ever thought about being a priest? And that was the one that kind of made me go, wait a second. With Father Bob and with Father Barry, that's their job. They're supposed to ask all the Catholic guys to be thinking about priesthood, but here is a woman that I've picked to be my sponsor for confirmation because of her love for Jesus and the service that she gave to the church, and she thinks I could be a good priest. I joke about that I was tricked into going to the seminary. And I say that because Father Barry had organized a visit to the seminary in Dallas, Holy Trinity Seminary. And there he had invited all of my classmates in confirmation class. All of my close friends were planning on going to this. And of course, I hear of it as a trip to Dallas. And I'm like, hey, I'm in. Let's go watch a Stars game. I'm in. And, so I talked to Father Barry. I said, hey, why didn't you invite me? I'm kind of hurt that you didn't invite me. And he says, well, you're always saying how you don't think about you have a call or anything like that you're not interested in being a priest? I said, I don't care about the seminary stuff. It's a trip to Dallas. So maybe I can go? And Father Barry very graciously said, yeah, okay, you can go. And over the course of time, because this was probably months in advance, all my friends backed out of the trip and didn't tell anyone else. To the point where when I showed up for the trip, it is literally myself, a young man named Jerome Lades, who had already been accepted as a seminarian for the diocese, and Father Barry. And I thought to myself, but that's okay, because that means that he's going to have more money for the trip. Because I know for myself, many times there are those peaks and valleys in my religious experience. Those moments of great highs where I feel so very close to God. And those moments of perhaps despair. And we show up to the seminary and we get checked in. And Father Barry says, okay guys, I'll see you Sunday. And he takes off. Wait, what? Here were all my visions of going Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Stars, hit the Galleria, what have you. And they've just drove off with Father Barry McLean. And so during the course of that weekend, I really found that I was surprised. And during the course of this weekend, we got to talk to the seminarians, we got to go up on campus to see the university and see the classes. And on Saturday, there was an opportunity, there was a time programmed into the weekend where the vocation directors could take their candidates to go see the city. And all of them did, except for Father Barry McLean. And so Jerome and I are literally the only guys left at the seminary. And we are in this empty building. And so we are downstairs in the Student Union building shooting pool. And Jerome says, well, what do you think about all this? And I said, what would I tell my girlfriend? And Jerome says, you're thinking about it? Oh, I think I am. And so I began a period of discernment. To have that hard conversation with that lovely woman that I was in love with about maybe going to the seminary. And that was the deal that I made with God. I will go to the seminary, but if it's not for me, I need to know in the first year. And so every travel weekend, I would be packing up all my stuff. And the guys are like, dude, are you just starting out? Are you leaving the seminary? I don't know. Hopefully I'll see you Monday. And I would leave and eventually come back. And that year turned into more, because God began to reveal to me the way that He had gifted me in special ways to be a good minister, to be a good priest. And so I got tricked into the seminary. And this time of Advent is a time for us to level that playing ground, to level our hearts, so that we can better prepare the coming of the Lord in our lives. Not just in the coming in 2 or 3 weeks of the feast of Christmas, but for that eternal coming. I think probably the critical one is that discerning a vocation is sequential, right? We don't make the promise of chaste celibacy until we are ordained, which is far down the line of formation. And so I think it's so important for young men especially who are considering the possibility that God is calling them, that sometimes that call is to the formation of seminary. If you want to become a Navy SEAL, you don't just walk in and say, I'm ready to be a SEAL. No, you have to first be accepted to enter into the Navy. You have to make it through basic training with the Navy. Then you have to go through various schools and ultimately to BUD/S to be trained as a Navy SEAL. And anywhere along this point, there may be a difference. There may be an injury. There may be something that calls you away. And thus it is with discerning a call, is you have to make those formulaic steps one by one. We try to worry about what the end point is without ever worrying about the journey.